Howdy ho, Pussy Collective and the greater community that's watching this here in the Pussy Collective or YouTube. I'm Sarah Sullivan and I have another episode of Pussy Magic and Musings. And I feel like given what's present for me right now, it's important to share for those of you that have been maybe watching along or hearing some of my pussy money magic stories. I feel it's important to give a little bit of a backstory and how I got to where I am now. I think the last video I shot real briefly was about the power of the divine feminine, the portal of all life, the pussy, in how it's actually helped me craft a life that is way more fulfilling, way more abundant, way more supported, way more luxurious, way more free than it has been in all of my earlier years as an entrepreneur, and how it relates to the actual divine feminine exploration that I've been doing around honoring and loving my pussy. So this may take several episodes to give you more and whole of this backstory, and there's multitudes of parts to this, but I'm going to start with a message that I got from the Pussy Portal herself several years ago, and how it has related to my understanding of the flow of abundance, prosperity, actual money, and the flow of currency, which is also multiple forms of resource, asset-based resources. So several years ago, I was preparing slides for my Secrets of the Universe presentation, which many of you may have seen. And if not, you can check that out at secretsoftheuniverse.com. It's a beautiful awareness of how we can fall more madly in love with our sacred portals. So check that out, secretsoftheuniverse.com. And so I was sourcing images of pussy from the internet and finding a whole lot of not supportive images, but then I did come across this beautiful site, and it had all of these beautiful images of pussy, which I was able to then use in my slideshow. So I probably spent a good, 2 or 3 hours working on that project, sourcing pictures, looking at pussy, putting them together for my presentation. And at the time I was complete with that, after I was like, okay, it's time to get off my computer and get with Rana. We actually had a date night that night, and we were going to go hang out in the hot tub. And I remember coming off my computer and feeling like, whoa, like there's something energetically happening. And what I know from being a pussy oracle and the sacred reclamation work that I service as ministry, rather, how I serve women in that way, it's very clear to me that there are massive amounts of messages and information that can be found in the Pussy Portal herself that we're not actually looking at. We're not actually decoding. We haven't been looking because pussy has been either overly shamed or overly sexualized, or both. And so nobody's taken a real good look. Not nobody, but the majority of humanity has not really given pussy her due diligence of full yoni gazing power that can be helpful in how we craft the world that we want to live in. And so there I was, staring in the Pussy Portal for hours and hours and hours, creating this slideshow. And after I got done, feeling like, whoa, what just happened? Like, I didn't realize at the time how actual potent that was, to be staring at so many pictures of pussy in service to the higher mission with pussy, not because I was gawking sexually at pussy. It's a slightly different energetic, if not a totally different energetic. And I remember getting ready to go into the hot tub and walking to the bathroom and going to the bathroom and starting to have this conversation in my head, which then I felt like I was actually having a conversation with either my higher self or what it felt like was God, the energetic of God. And I remember thinking, okay, a few years earlier, I had literally pulled the plug on my business, was very dramatic, blew up my brand on day 3 of a live event, realized that the model that I had been existing to bring my teachings to women was not actually serving the message or the mission, and was actually having me not be able to walk my talk as well as I wanted to, and was incongruent with who I wanted to be. So I blew it all up, and then I discovered, and this is again a longer story for another time, but I discovered who I am as Sierra, without a brand, without a a following, without anything to hide behind, and really just be valued in who I am for myself, and then how does that occur in the world. And so I had been on that exploration for a couple of years by the time this story that I'm telling you now took place. And in that is where I actually got initiated and called forth to become a Pussy Oracle. And again, I share these stories on lots of podcasts, and there's lots of places you can hear that story. But if you're curious, just type below, and I can add that to some of these videos. However, so I've been a pretty clear channel as I've been stepping into this calling and this ministry of bringing reverence and power back to Pussy, individually and as a collective for humanity. And but I had been inquiry of like, well, if I'm supposed to do this for the world, what is the ROI? What is the return on investment for me? How am I actually, to be a benign, silly, ridiculous question, I was like, how am I supposed to make money at this? Which is actually the wrong question. But in the world that we've created, we often think our talents and our gifts need to be valued in exchange for money. And not that that's not the case, but not everybody wants to be paid for their gifts in the world. They'd rather just give it and not have to worry about money. And then a lot of us are forced to create revenue generating activity around our gifts in order to actually be able to do our gifts and thrive. And so it's a bit of a, I don't know, I think it's a funky situation that we've created in this world that has attributed something that we feel compelled to give to the world, and then having to muddle it up with how are we going to make money doing it. So I've been unraveling that. And yet, after I was done and had been in the Pussy portal, I found myself asking Spirit, if this is what you desire for me to offer into the world, well, how can it be something that supports my livelihood? And the answer I got was very interesting, and that's where I really began this exploration of Pussy Money Magic. It was happening before this, but this was like the moment, the defining moment for me. The answer I got was, I felt, again, it was my higher self, or it was God, but it really felt like God was like, oh, girl, let me just tell you something. And it was like a voice in my head, or I don't know where the voice was coming from, but I heard very clearly, what do you need money for? You need money for you and your bills and your groceries. Like, you need money for this and money for that. Like, you're so small-sighted. You need money. And it was like this, like, you need money for me and me and me, and I need money for me and my bills, and me and my this and me and my that. And that's not, I was told by this voice, like, no, I'll just speak as if I was the voice. So the voice said to me, girl, you got it all backwards. You're trying to get money for you, but that's not really your highest service. When you're in your me, I like to call it the me economy, trying to survive, like the survival, trying to like pay my bills and do all that, I'm then only in service to me, ultimately. Now, not that I can't be in service to me, but that as a soul mission to survive isn't actually my highest calling in how my flow of currency actually works. And the voice said, Sierra, when you're actually committed to the we, to the collective, and you're in service to the collective, the me is part of the we. And you can have such a bigger channel for energetics, which is flow of currency on all ways that currency is measured in this world and not measured. And you can actually have a lot more and have a bigger, basically, funnel or vessel for the energetic of the money to pour through. But when you're focused on me, meaning me, my needs, my work, my world, my rent, my bills, my groceries, I'm missing the connection to the greater we, and I'm actually now in a focus that is focused downward instead of upward. And I was like, okay, so I get that when I make something about more than me, such as the we, the me is part of the we. There is no we without me. And when I make it about me, that disempowers the we, because then it's just only about me. And I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. So when I'm more focused on the we, I have a bigger container and a bigger vessel. And when I'm not, it's smaller and constricted. Okay, I get it. And it was pretty big. And then the voice said, and by the way, you actually don't work for, the voice said, and actually, God is your currency. And I was like, God is my currency? What does that mean? I was like, okay, there's something profound about that. And it's like, it's not that like I work for God. Like maybe you've heard the concept, God is your CEO, give over your life to the miracles of God, and then, believe in Allah, but tether your camel, do the things to tether your camel. But that's not what that's not what that voice was telling me. The voice was telling me, no, I actually work in the currency of God. God is my financial liquidity. And it took me, I don't know, several weeks to several months to really grok what that meant. I could feel the profundity or the profoundness of that, and that there was something big, but I didn't quite understand God currency. God is my currency. Okay, I work for God, not for God, but for the currency of God. And then I started to realize slowly that the flow of and I've read a lot of books. I've read the Abundance book by John Randolph Price. I've read The Secret. I've read Think and Grow Rich. I've read The Science of Getting Rich, all the ways and Abraham Hicks, and all the ways that we are in a constant stream of well-being, and it's how we literally limit or open ourselves to that stream of well-being and our aligned frequencies that actually flow the things we want to and through us the best. So I got all that, and I started to feel very clear that how do I get more God currency to flow? God is currency. God is my physical dollars or energetic dollars or both. And I started to realize that I need to plug into the bank of God more often, right? I need to actually, and one of my beautiful shamanic advisors from many, many moons ago had said to me at one point, there is new currency on this planet, but you need the ATM card. And what she meant was energy, money flow, physical money flow, and actual, energy is currency, currency is money, money is currency, currency is energy. It's funny that they're the same words. Money just is a tangible form of exchange based on an energetic flow through, or not an energetic flow through. And so I was like, oh, what's the ATM card to get this new money? And this new money is not necessarily the money that we're used to having, that we've all agreed to be having in this time-space continuum, that everybody agrees dollars are the thing, or whatever, the physical exchange of the fiat currency. And instead I was like, oh, so if I need to get the ATM card, I need to actually plug into the Bank of God more often, which then for me is really doing more aligned practices that have me in tune and congruency with my divine knowing, which is also in this physical form, deeply as a woman connected to my pussy. And connected to the knowing of my pussy, the honoring of my pussy. And when I say pussy, I mean physical pussy. And then I also mean the honoring of my own vessel and devotion to this feminine body. And the principles of the divine feminine, which is more receptivity, and it's more in the mysterious ways. It's not as tangible. It's not trying to figure things out. It's not having a direct plan. It's not having goals figured out. It's in the more intangible places that when I have a knowing, I can act on that knowing and then put the physical attributes of my masculine to work to actually create that knowing. And so the more I plug into my higher consciousness, which is the bank of God that I'm talking about, the more I open up my channel to then flow that currency through me, divinely understood through my pussy power, and the divinity of honoring the pussy portal and all that she has to say and share. And there's a lot of science behind all this too, but I'm just speaking in this moment a bit more esoterically and physically. And the more that I connect into that God currency flow and lean back, and some of you maybe watched my the Art of Effortless Feminine Manifestation course, which is a beautiful way that I describe this. I lean back and I'm open to receiving, and when I'm in leaned back and open to receiving, I can see more. I have a simple expansion of my vision and my capacity. So to take the time I need to do the things that activate my channel. So for me, it would look like more meditative time, more time spent with trees and nature specifically, more ways of being supported and loved and nurtured by my women's circles, by my relationship, the things that juice me up, light me up, turn me on, essentially, pussy power, really. Are the highest investments in currency I can make so that I can be more of a divine vessel to hold more, to create more, to see more, and to allow more current see in my life. Now, current see, the ability to see in the current moment. What we desire in the world is usually, always, not usually, always right there in our reach, but oftentimes we get confused and blind because we're so single focused on what it's supposed to look like, and we don't have our eyes wide open to see what's possible. We miss the very thing that can create the answer to our desires and our prayers that are always in front of us, but we just can't see it. It's whether the person you need to talk to, the opportunity you need to take, the sign on the billboard that directs you over here, the aha moment you get to call the friend, all the ways that we can actually activate the knowingness of the field and then have the thing that we want versus going out to try to go get it and do it and focus on that and missing all of the information that's available to us. I'm hoping this is making sense. I'm talking very fast. But what I understood the God currency to be is more time spent deeply connecting and listening to my higher self, my pussy self, my divine feminine knowing, the mysteries of the universe, being open and more receptive to what is in front of me, and then the ability to see more clearly the very thing that I desire that is always in front of me that I might have missed otherwise, being in the doingness of life, being in the scurrying and hurrying to try to actually make money a thing for my bills, for me economy, me, versus an openness to be contributing to the we economy and doing my part to activate the we economy, knowing that I will absolutely be provided for. Sure, there's certain things I need to ask for, I need to get better at, more management, more flow through. There's all sorts of ways that that occurs to hold the holdings. But ultimately, it's about opening up and being more connected to a divine force and a divine flow, which then activates my ability to work with the tangible three-dimensional realities of what those resources need to look like, whether that be physical fiat money, physical home, physical groceries, physical tangible support in my business, whatever that may look like, how those resources can actually be more harnessed to actually have me then have more of a life, which now I have. I have an amazing life. Right now we're Flowmatic, but we will be getting a community home again very soon, a beautiful, luxurious home. I'm sitting in my dear friend's beautiful, luxurious home right now. I'm constantly been given opportunities to be in these beautiful environments held by so many others in my community. And it's not necessarily always costing me my tangible me economy money. It's actually because of my commitment to the we economy and the listening and the leaning into that and the doing of my practices that actually expand me to hold more, both in resource and in actual physical, tangible finances and all the ways that that occurs. Now, I might be talking Greek to some of you. I hope you're following me. But basically, the bottom line for this, and there's so much more to say, is that by staring down the pussy portal, being open to receiving the messages that were there, I was gifted this powerful understanding. And I've been seeing some pretty profound things in the pussy portal of how the world is going to end up from a place of where we are now to where we actually want to be for, I'd say, probably 100% of the world. It's just going to look different because people are in their various illusionary realities. But I see we're going to make it. I see that we're going to be creating something profoundly different in the future. I don't know how far down the line. I don't know if it's in my lifetime or several lifetimes, but I can see the future and it looks great. I don't know how it's going to be between now and getting there or what that will look like or what that needs. But I do know that I have been given my own clear message of letting go of the commitment to driving and striving for this financial resource economy to support me and my needs, and I'm actually raising the bar on that and striving to create something bigger that has a greater holdings, an income unity, a common unity, a community that we can leverage each other's assets and gifts and talents and resources for the greater good of more holdings, right? The great holdings, for everybody to thrive more consistently in all the ways that we value currencies. And currencies can be financial, it can be energetic, it can be relational, it can be human capital, it can be, on and on and on. There's so many different systems of measurement that we're not necessarily measuring in our normal societal ways that actually are very detrimental to not be measuring them, because you see people out there maybe making a ton of money, great, and feeling miserable. I have someone in my life that has made a lot of financial gains and physical material wealth and is miserable in many ways in her life. And, you know, I want to help her see that there's other systems of measurement to help her so that she can reallocate her own inner resources to creating a life that is more well-rounded and more wealth-oriented in all the ways that we can measure wealth, not just financially. So that is one of the ways that I have been on this mission to create a new flow of currency. That is the way that I have activated my own pussy money magic to believe and hold the creation of manifestations in a way that doesn't necessarily require me going out, working my ass off, getting money in exchange, and then paying for this life. That's part of what I do, but that's a small part of what I do. Most of how I create my life comes in way other forms of currencies. And I'm living a pretty fucking epic life in that way. And it's not all on me to stress out to have the thing, to make the money to have the thing, so that I don't actually enjoy the thing because I've been focusing so hard on making the money to have the thing. And so my invitation is to open up your possibility to your own pussy money magic. And it has to do with manifestation, and it has to do with so much more than that. Co-creation. And like I said, community, common unity, income unity, all the ways that we can actually create new forms of wealth creation on this planet and live epic lives and be a little less selfish in our meanness and neediness, our meatiness, and create a world that works for everybody. So I'm very curious. This is a long video, but I'm curious what you got, what you heard, where your pussy money magic might be showing up, what you learned, what you want to know more of, and I'm happy to keep sharing because there's so many more little pieces to this story that have been activating truth, and like this might feel crazy, and then I'll get another piece that's like, no, it's not crazy because so-and-so has been creating this in other realms. Like I've gotten some deep three-dimensional world validation of this concept since this came into my field, and I want to keep sharing that with you to open up your possibilities of living a grander, more resourced, currency-rich life in every way without you having to work so fucking hard in your own right to do it and get to reap and feel and be enriched by the fruits of your knowing. So thanks so much for tuning in. I am Sierra Sullivan, Pussy Oracle and keeper of the Pussy Collective, and I'm so grateful that you tuned in to watch this, and I look forward to more. Thanks so much. I'm here every Tuesday at 2:22 Pacific until I decide otherwise, and I love you lots. Take care.